Hey everyone, welcome back to the Live Support Ops Hangout. This is episode 46. It's going to be a great episode. We're finally back. We've got most everybody. We're still wondering if Carolyn's going to show up. She might not. That's your surprise for this show. So just kind of keep an eye out. So about the Hangout, this is our weekly discussion that helps you deliver a better support experience to all your customers. I'm your host, Chase Clemens. You probably already know that. And just for a refresher on the other two gents that are on the show, we've got Chase Livingston from Automatic. How are you?
Doing great, thank you.
New fancy gray office going on there.
That's
looking
right.
snazzy.
That's right.
And then we've got Jeff Vincent from Wistia. How are you, sir?
I'm great. It's good to be back, Chase.
Yeah, nothing new about your home office, right? Like nothing that we're missing?
Nope, absolutely the same.
Nothing. I'll apologize for my end of the video for anybody watching the video version of all this. There's this weird gray pegboard behind me. This was the only spot I could grab really quick at my wife's studio since the internet at the house went out, so all this was set up in like 15 minutes on my end. But at least the audio is going to sound good for all you podcast audio listeners. So let's dive into this show. It's going to be really awesome. It's something that we kind of pushed around a little bit to make sure that as many of us could be here as possible for this, especially Jeff, because it's something that Jeff and I go back and forth on a lot. So we're going to talk about what things in your support experience that you should automate for your customers and what things you should keep kind of more manual, high-touch, more people-intensive kind of interactions. Jeff is really famous for, I'll just let him give you the quote that always shows up. So, Jeff, what do you always say about things that you can automate?
The best support is no support?
No, the whole automate what you can.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I set you up perfectly for that.
Right, you're right. I'm sorry, Chase. I didn't know where you wanted me to go. So I guess it's somewhat famous. That's wonderful. Thank you. Is that you should automate wherever you can and be intensely human wherever you can't. Although after UserConf, the version that went viral was automate wherever you can, be intensely human wherever you can. So perhaps I should change my own quote.
I don't know. I like the first version. I mean, that's the one that I would put on my wall anyways.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that, too.
So yeah, let's look at what things has Wistia completely automated. What things have you taken out of the realm of a person needing to actually talk to one of your support reps? What things have you made just absolutely automatic for your customer when it comes to support?
So for a little bit of context, let me start with this one. The first 3 to 6 months that we existed, when you uploaded a video to your account, it really just went to my colleague Ben, who manually encoded the video and then put it on a server somewhere so that you could share it with your private sharing people way back then.
It's straight up like they're not even uploading it to their account. They're basically sending him a file that he does all the hard work for.
Way back when, that was exactly how it worked.
That's awesome.
The second iteration was if you wanted to embed a video, right? When we first released embedding, if you wanted to embed a video, you had to email us, and we would send you an embed code by email. So yeah, there have been a number of things that have been manual over the years. The most recent that I can think of just this week, if your account was previously canceled for any reason, whether you decided you wanted to cancel your account or you had a bunch of unpaid subscription payments and we canceled for you, you used to have to reach out to us to unlock the account so that you could get back in there. And obviously that's a bit of a headache because every day there are a number of people who are like, oh, I kept forgetting to update that credit card. Now that the videos on my website are all black, that's a pretty good forcing function for me to go and get that done. Can you unlock the account? And there were probably a number of times per day that we would need to do that for either someone who had been canceled that day or a couple of days ago or whatever. Now you can just log, if you're the owner on the account, you can just log back in and repurchase. So the type of thing that if you were designing a service and you really thought through all the details, that would have been an easy one for you to think of. But way back when there was no one who would cancel, and we certainly wouldn't auto-cancel anybody way back in the beginning, that was just never thought out, right? It was just never thought out. So you have to have a certain number of people using that every day and causing pain around using it every day before you decide, let's automate that away.
Yeah, so Chase Logsine, you haven't been at Automatic forever, like Jeff has, or I've been at Basecamp. So are there any things that you've seen since you've been there with Automatic that the team has intentionally taken from a manual process like that over into more of an automatic process?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the big ones we've done recently is migrating subscriptions. So a lot of users will be on WordPress.com and decide that maybe for whatever reason they want to move over and host their own site and use WordPress.org so they can use plugins and that kind of thing. But they don't want to lose obviously all their blog subscribers that have subscribed through WordPress.com. And so if they install the Jetpack plugin on their new site, previously we had a little tool basically on the back end that we would use to manually migrate all those subscribers over to that new site. And so basically all we did was kind of repurpose that tool, make it quite a bit prettier and easier to use, and then show that to the users so they can migrate their own subscribers and they don't even have to come to us for help with that. And we've also made some improvements around custom DNS changes with domain names that users purchase from us, or if they just map their domain to us and point their name servers at us. We make it a little bit easier for them to manage their DNS now, whereas before they had to log into a crazy domain admin thing, and most of the time they would just contact us and we would do it for them because it was so bad. So those are kind of two of the big things that I've seen just in the year that I've been with Automatic.
Yeah, and just to prove that we've done this too at Basecamp, one of the things when your trial ends, we would get lots of requests from people saying, hey, can you open it back up? I need to export my things, my data out, that kind of thing. So we thought, hey, it would just be easier if you could put a cancel link on the trial expiration as well as a export your data link there. So it, cuts out those emails. So all three of us have had experience in taking something that is manual, and then once the numbers get high enough for your customers, figure out a way to actually automate that. So Jeff, why do we want to automate those things? Like, what's the net win for us? I mean, shouldn't we want to be talking to the customers? Isn't that a good touch point for customer interaction?
Well, I think that's an interesting thing to think about, is whether it's a good. I guess there's a difference between a good touch point for us and a good experience for the customer. So it's like, yeah, that's having to reopen the trial actually is a pretty good touch point, because you could ask what did you do during your trial, or what did you find useful, or there's all sorts of conversations that you can have. But what you're doing actively is preventing the trialer from using the product. And that in that particular instance, and that feels like something that not only does it cause your team a headache because they have to go in and they have to press the button to extend the trial or whatever, but it causes the potential customer a headache because they have to, they have to open up their email thing and email into you and beg for you to open it, and a certain percentage of people just won't do that. So instead, what you should probably do is remove the friction point, so allow them to automatically open their trial, but experiment with a drip email or something to find out, hey, it looks like you extended your trial. Was there something that you were trying to do that required more than 15 days? Or, maybe go look at their usage and say, oh, you just started using this the last couple of days. What happened there? I guess what I'm saying is that there's a difference between learning from somebody in a forced touch point and allowing them to continue doing what it is that they want to do and get value from that, and then also learning from them. Like a win-win. It's a win for you, loss for them in the first scenario, and it's a win-win in the second one. So I go with that one every time.
Look at you breaking out the win-loss, loss-loss, win-win kind of thing.
I know, right?
Chase Livingston, is it kind of the same thing? You gave the example of people moving from WordPress.com over to a self-hosted thing. So, in those cases, you're probably losing out some money. Automatic's losing out some money from them not hosting it. Is that something is that a good thing? That you're making it easy to transfer over, even though Automatic's losing out, kind of, losing some money there.
Yeah, I think all in all, it's a good thing, because we're still, fostering, the WordPress project as a whole, which is kind of the goal. Even at Automatic, while we do have WordPress.com and we make money off of that, our end goal is just to basically further the WordPress platform and help democratize publishing, across the web, which is kind of the mantra that we use. And so we don't really look at it as a loss per se. It's just somebody moving to doing something else, and hopefully maybe they'll check out some of our premium services around, WordPress.org, like VaultPress and Akismet and that kind of thing. And hopefully they'll find those valuable and maybe, pay us that way.
Yeah, so just because they're transitioning away from that doesn't mean there aren't still ways that you could keep them as a customer.
Sure, exactly. Yeah, we could always hope to be able to help them out. I mean, that's our goal basically, is to make the experience as great as possible.
So one of the things that I feel like you just touched on right there, or maybe it just sparked it in my own brain, is the argument that I've heard the most about why we maybe wouldn't automate something away is, well, we want to have an interaction with our customers because having a really positive interaction with our customers is one of the main drivers of our business, right? And for us at Wistia, great support has been one of the main drivers of new business. So the question is,
let me pretend that I'm Carolyn, because that's the argument that she would give. She would be like,
right.
But Jeff, here at Buffer, and this is me just playing Carolyn, here at Buffer, we want those interactions. We want customers to reach out to us with anything and everything so we can establish that, that fun chat dialogue with them and reinforce, customer support is a feature of Buffer.
And I would say, Carolyn, there are a number of things that I can touch on there, but touch on one big one that Chase's comment just brought to mind for me, which is it's very rare. Okay, so as a recommender of a service, right? Let's say I'm recommending WordPress. It's unlikely that I'm going to say, hey, Chase Clemens, you should use WordPress because they have excellent support, and just leave it at that, right? Let's just use all of the applications that provide great support, regardless of whether we need them or not. What's more likely to happen is for you to say, hey, Jeff, I need to do some publishing on the web. I want to put up a new blog, or, I need a new, Support Ops needs a brand new website. And for me to say, what's a great tool is WordPress. It's super easy to set up and get started with your website. And when you get stuck, which everybody does, they have great support, right? So I guess what I'm saying is that the great interactions that you have are a delighter and a positive add-on to the total value you get from using the product and all the, maybe resources related to the product. Not the sole reason. The sole reason why I use Buffer is not because of the support. As far as I know, I've never interacted with Buffer support. But I get a lot of value out of using Buffer, and I know they have great support, so I'm totally comfortable recommending them to someone else. So I guess that's the thing, is you can't put the touch point ahead of the value that the customer is trying to get out of your product in the first place. I think I have to give Carolyn a lot of credit. She wrote an article recently about, I can't remember what the name of it is. I'm sure Chase will know, and he'll put the link in the notes. But essentially, it's why we don't automate that away, or why we don't make a change or something like that. And I think I agree with her in theory, that what's great is to feel the acute pain of something that needs fixing, and then voila, it can be fixed. But I think in practice, it becomes very difficult for you to say, oh, we're feeling the following problems acutely, and then to have team members who are there ready to fix it at that exact moment. Or at least that's not my experience, and I can't think of many companies. I mean, WordPress is huge. I doubt that they have people who are just ready to fix it whenever a new problem arises. Instead, you have to be focused on the entire experience, maximizing the value out of that, and then fixing the sort of little problems that are left as you go. So I would argue that you make the change to increase the customer's experience as soon as you can, and then you circle back around when you have time to fix the problems that are left from that.
Yeah, and just like Jeff mentioned, so I'm going to put the link to Carolyn's article in the show notes. We're actually going to talk about specifically her article in a upcoming Hangout, so make sure to stay around for that one. But yeah, the kind of central idea here that she put forth, and I'm just going to read straight from her article so we don't like mince words or anything. Yep. Carolyn says, simply, we don't learn anything if customers find the answers themselves on a forum or a knowledge base. And she was talking about, she got an email about how they were asking why Buffer doesn't have a searchable knowledge base, a searchable help forum. Instead, they choose to focus on asking customers to email, tweet, live chat instead of that. So again, we don't learn anything if customers find the answers themselves on a forum or a knowledge base. And like I mentioned, we're going to touch on that, in a full episode later on. But Chase Livingston, so do you think that automaticians, you with live chat, do you lose out any personalization with your customers just because they choose to use the WordPress knowledge base rather than going to live chat first?
I don't think so. We have found that live chat is kind of the odd man out, if you will, in that people are much more quick to just pop that open and ask a question rather than searching the knowledge base, because it's just so quick and easy and it's right there, whereas sending an email takes a little bit of extra effort and time on their part. But as far as that interaction being lost, I'm not so sure. WordPress.com in general is just such a huge and complex product that I mean we have upwards of 60 happiness engineers working on support across the company at any given time, and we're still often overwhelmed, and that's with all the crazy knowledge base articles. I mean we have hundreds and hundreds of those and forum threads and all that kind of stuff. So if we didn't have that and just relied on email and live chat and Twitter and that kind of thing, we would probably need to at least double, maybe triple the number of people we had just to keep up with the volume that we would get from all those interactions. You
would drown. You would literally drown.
Absolutely.
And I say this from experience. We launched the latest version of Basecamp without any kind of, I think we had like 5 FAQs or something, like really simple, basic kind of stuff. And it was, you wake up and start working and there's 1,000 emails in the queue, and then you go home at the end of the day and there's 1,000 emails in the queue. Like and that's with everybody in the company pretty much doing support for a week. Mm-hmm. That's all they did. So yeah, you're gonna. So let's get this out of the way. You're going to have to automate things. That's just how it goes when you start scaling your customer base. It's all about choosing which parts of that you actually do automate and keep away from being that kind of personal interaction. So Jeff, with Wistia, what kind of things are you still keeping? Like, have you looked at something that was a yes, we should automate this, or no, we want to keep it personalized, and chosen that latter option, chosen to keep it as a they need to contact us for this?
They have to contact us. So one thing that we do that with right now, which is we do that with the sort of hidden advanced options in Wistia, the things that certain customers 4 years ago really needed, so we built it, and we would love to just get rid of it, but we keep it around for them, so if there are certain other people that need it, we'll turn it on. So for example, spoiler alert, Wistia has audio embedding as well as video embedding.
Wait,
that
what?
Said, it's like the redheaded stepchild of the Wistia product is audio embedding. We don't provide analytics for that. The player looks like garbage. For a really long time, it didn't work in like iOS or any of those, any mobile environment. But we have that as an advanced option if someone was to contact us and say, I need that. And so deep in our documentation somewhere, it says, hey, if you need this, email support@wistia.com and we will turn it on for you. And we keep it that way because when we looked at ways we could add it into the product, it seemed like too what's the word? It's like it wasn't hidden enough. It seemed like it was too basic of an option. Right? It's like when you go into your phone and you go into settings, it's like the settings that appear on the first page are clearly settings that a lot of people use. Yeah. Well, we wanted to have like an advanced area with a closet in it of the settings area just for people who like wanted, you had to like beat the Legend of Zelda in order to unlock this advanced area. Because we needed people who were going to put up with the fact that that part of the product was kind of shitty. So yeah, we still force people to contact us about that, and yeah, I'm trying to think of other things, but something that's relevant to me, I suppose, is when someone new signs up and they are a certain level of what we call trial quality or higher, so their usage during their free account or trial account was of a certain extent, I email them myself just to find out what brought them to Wistia. And that's definitely something that I've thought about automating. And a lot of people actually think it's automated, especially because I send the emails at weird times. But I found that I tend to get a better response when I include a little bit more about that person, right? Yeah, there are definitely things that you want to. It's not automate everything all the time, but it's find the parts of your customer's experience and maybe your teammates' experience that sucks, and let's find a way to fix that. We've had conversations before about building tools for your support team. I mean, that's part of automation as well. It doesn't just have to be on the customer's end. Although I think that's the topic for the show is the customer's end. But I guess what I'm saying is automate everything where it just adds nothing but friction.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those, you bring up a good point. Even things that your support staff is doing as a very manual process, those are prime targets for automation too. Chase Livingston was mentioning scripts earlier that they ran to migrate people over, to a WordPress.com. That's something that can be automated. We've got an internal thing where if somebody writes into Basecamp and they're like, hey, can you make this project into a template for us? Then yeah, I can, copy and paste a couple of lines of code and then run that and it moves it over. But some of our on-call programmers are working on a way where I run one line in the terminal and it automatically does everything for me. So yeah, it speeds things up because the more things that you automate, that's more time that you get to spend with the customers that you want to interact with, for lack of a better thing. Yeah. So Chase Livingston, do you think you're in live chat? Is that an area that is good for automation, or is it something more that needs to be kept really personable, really one person answering each and every chat that comes in kind of thing?
Yeah, I think with live chat, that's kind of the goal is for somebody to answer your question and actually you be able to talk to a human being. We get a lot of chats from users who are asking if we're quote unquote a robot or if we're a real person, because they're so used to other companies who basically use the initial live chat field as a search for their docs or some sort of like really smart artificial intelligence that tries to give them the best answer from the docs or whatever. So they're often pretty surprised when it's an actual person, and we want to keep it that way just because we feel like that's a great opportunity for interaction for us. And for the most part, the types of questions that people are going to ask via live chat are resolved pretty easily and quickly, so it's not a huge time sink for us or anything like that. And while we do automate lots and lots of things, there are still things like Jeff said with Wistia. We have the same things where we want users to contact us. Especially for us, it's especially surrounding domain registrations and stuff, because there's some really weird ICANN rules and things like that about when you can transfer a domain or if you cancel, what happens and that kind of thing. And so we don't want users to just think we're being jerks. We want to explain to them, why those policies are in place and that kind of thing. So we encourage them to contact us either via live chat or email or something like that. And that's just one example of a lot of the conversations we have on live chat, because users have encountered that kind of message or that kind of error and quickly pop open a live chat window and ask us. And so we don't want to automate that away or anything. We want to actually be able to spend some time with those users and let them know that it's not that we're being jerks. It's just something that we kind of have to do.
Look, I'm real and I'm not a jerk. We just have to do this.
Yeah.
I love that. That should be a bumper sticker, along with Jeff's quote. So the last thing I want to touch on, and it's something that we've touched on a little bit in previous Hangouts, I think. But sometimes you run across things like forced automation, right? So a good example of this is MailChimp. In MailChimp's knowledge base and their help site, you have to at least try a search before they even pop up any of the contact us through email, live chat, that kind of thing. So Chase, we're going to start with you on this one. Is that a good thing? Would routing everybody through a mandatory search of the help docs be something like that WordPress would even look at?
So actually, in some cases, you will get that at WordPress.com. If you go directly to our contact page, we do have one step where you actually search the docs and it brings up a few relevant links, and then if that doesn't answer your question, you get the option to email us. But what we've been kind of testing out is actually just placing a live chat box right in a user's WordPress.com dashboard, so that they don't even have to go find the contact page. They can just, the live chat form is just right there. They can click on and start chatting with us, and so that's kind of something that we're testing out and seeing whether that we think that's a good interaction or not. But as far as searching the docs goes before you have to contact somebody, it's not necessarily one of my favorite things that we do, but it's something that has been tested in the past, before I was even at Automatic, and seems to have worked out well. So just kind of the way it is. Personally, I think I would rather see users be able to just email or live chat directly, but I haven't seen any of our users complain about not enjoying that or it being a bad interaction. So for now and for us, that's kind of how it works.
What do you think, Jeff? Good move, bad move to kind of force that on people?
I think it depends. I think it depends on the problem that you're facing. I think in MailChimp's example, or in the MailChimp example, I guess I should say, I don't think that they had another option. I mean, they have millions of users, and the question for me is, are most of the questions something that should have... The question with people not accessing resources is it unclear how to even look at what the problem is, right? Like, can users not even put into words what they're trying to figure out? If that's the majority of the questions that you're getting, then you may have a deeper problem. You may need to do some more education up front to make sure that people have a context for, like, this is what MailChimp is, this is what MailChimp is for. I'd prefer to see people be forced through some sort of onboarding experience that teaches you the basics of the product, so that you don't have to ask questions around that. You're not so confused that you don't even know where to start. But I think that part of scaling sometimes is saying, like, the most important thing is that the people who do contact us get quick and thoughtful and informative responses, and we just can't hire fast enough to keep up with growth right now, so we need to come up with something. But that being said, I think if you were designing a service from the ground up today, you wouldn't build that by default, right? So it's definitely not utopia that you would need to do that first. And I haven't really... Part of it is, if you want people to use your resources, you have to show them that they're there, and you have to show them that they're useful, because people are so burned by the documentation on, I don't know, old electronics that they have in their house and things of that nature, that they don't even want to think about using a web app's docs. I think we have to teach people that that's not the case. But I don't even know how I feel. Like, I don't know whether we would do it if we were in the same situation, but I'm pretty sure that we would.
Yeah, and that's one of those cases where, I don't know. For me as a support, working in customer support, I understand it. For me as a customer, every time I come across one of those, the very first, I don't even search for the answer. I type in help because I want to get straight to that email link. So it's just, I see both sides, and one of those, sometimes we need to make things harder on ourselves rather than make things harder or more confusing on our customers. That's
right. I think that's a great way of putting it, and I think you're right. I think the question is, it goes back to why we would automate in the first place. Like, do you try to improve the experience for those 50 or 100, or in MailChimp's case, hundreds of thousands perhaps, who would have contacted you about an issue before you had time to fix it? Or do you try to fix it in the documentation, then try to make sure that they see that? Do you improve the messaging in there, and then just make sure that they're going to see that before they can reach out? Because sometimes as a customer you do see that, and you're like, okay, I'm kind of bummed that I couldn't get a human to help me answer my problem, but at least I know the answer. I can keep going. It's a very, very hard problem. I really don't know what the right answer is. I know what Carolyn would say. But
Dream on. Let everyone email.
Yeah, exactly. But I really don't know what the quote unquote right answer is.
There's not. There's not a right answer.
It really.
It depends. It depends on the people, on the company.
It also depends on the type of customer that you have to support, right? I don't really know how WordPress works 100%, but there's a huge group of people who use WordPress for free. And then there's a huge group of people that pay for WordPress. And at least I would argue, if I was in charge of WordPress support, that live chat for free people, you must be crazy. Right? Same with, if we could figure out whether someone from MailChimp was logged in as a customer or not, we shouldn't make them search the docs before they can reach out if they pay us money.
Right.
Like, that's ridiculous. But with millions, potentially millions of free users, like, heck yeah, we should try to, teach them that self-service is the best way to get in touch with us. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, that's one of the things, we're testing out phone support with customers, and you have to be a customer to see the phone support option. If you're not a customer or if you're not logged in, you're never going to see that. Not that we have free accounts anymore, but if we did have free accounts, it would be, you wouldn't get phone support. That's just, it's too resource intensive. But yeah, that's all I had. Jets, any last thoughts on this one before we close it out?
Good stuff.
We miss you, Carolyn.
Yeah, Chase sent me a message in this G-chat thing that said she's still on vacation. So enjoy your vacation, Carolyn. We'll see you next week. All right, which brings us to our favorite part of every episode.
Oh, crap.
It's been too long.
I have no idea how to work this thing anymore. Google Effects? Please, God, Google Effects.
He's going to get it one day.
I got you.
I'm going to hold up a sign that says, Jeff, get ready next time. It's this week's shout-outs. It's things that are making us happy, so happy that we want to shout it from the rooftops, from the mountaintops, and let you know that you should go out and do this or buy this or try this. So now that Chase Livingston has dropped from our podcast, that was great. We'll let him come back. So we'll go ahead with Jeff and hope that Chase comes back before the end. See, he's back already. Awesome. So Jeff, what you got to shout out this week?
I am gonna shout out. I don't think I had even made this switch before our last show. I am gonna shout out Pocket.
Pocket. I love Pocket.
I know has been shouted out before, but I think that because I was a Instapaper user for 7 years, it just bears saying that I switched to Pocket because basically it worked better, and I've been really, really thrilled with the experience. So for anybody who was sort of on the fence or feeling like there were too many options, they didn't know which one to go with, Pocket has been really fantastic.
Agreed too. You've got to do Pocket. I love it. And for me, it was the sync that was the final, this is why I'm moving to Pocket. So you could read through an article on your iPhone and then pick it up on your MacBook with a Mac app, and it would know where you were.
Wow.
It's magic. I don't know what unicorns or leprechauns or what they have working, but it's working. Yeah, Chase Livingston, what are you shouting out?
So I just gotta, if people don't know this, I'm kind of an audio geek, and just got a new pair of the Bose QC15s, the noise canceling headphones. I've been wanting a pair for a long time, and now that I'm working in a new co-working space during the week, sometimes it's kind of nice to be able to drown out the noise, and so there's some awesome noise canceling headphones, and they actually sound pretty decent as well.
Are those on ear or over ear?
Over the ear.
Okay, yeah, those are the ones that I have, and I've had a set for several years, and the part that goes over your ear was falling apart. They were looked like a flat tire, and I was thinking I had to get a new pair, but it turns out you can just get replacement.
Oh, nice. That's
ear pads for your ear, and it's like a brand new set of headphones. It's incredible.
They're pretty pricey. So yeah, they're pretty pricey, so it's nice they sell replacement parts, kind of like a car.
See, aren't you glad we're all picking things that we know are great recommendations? Yeah. Just for the listeners. It's awesome. So for me, I was in Portland last week, and I am a huge whiskey fan, if most people don't know. And there is this magical mecca of a place called the Multnomah Whiskey Library. And if you're in Portland, you absolutely have to go. It's downtown. You walk into this place, and there is 1,600 different spirits on the wall, with most of them being whiskey. I think it was something like 1,400 or something like that. So like 1,400 different whiskeys to try. You walk in, it's just old school, like almost like a library, right? So it's got the big leather seats, and it's got the big oil paintings on the walls, and it's real hardwood everything, and there's a big roaring fireplace, and even down to like little things like the library lamps are on the tables. That was really cool. But in this case, instead of books, it's whiskey. So it was absolutely, absolutely fantastic. The service was great. The food was great. The whiskey was great. If you're in Portland and are really looking for an experience, definitely try it out. The Multnomah. I'm probably saying that completely wrong, but I think that's how you said it. Multnomah Whiskey Library. Yeah, so that's it for this Hangout. That's in the books. We'll have the show notes up, supportops.co very shortly. Carolyn will be back next week when we have a great topic. Yeah, if you want a sneak peek, I was going to say, didn't we set next week's topic already? Maybe?
Did we?
Yeah, I think so. I was pulling up my notes.
I was
real
so
quick.
excited for this one that I might have forgotten.
Yeah. Oh, it's yeah. So we were talking about how Carolyn's article was sparking a whole hangout, and that's next week's hangout. We're talking about why Buffer doesn't scale support. So it's going to be it's going to be a great hangout. It's going to tie nicely into this one. Carolyn's going to be back to talk about it, so it's going to be great. Until then, like we said, show notes are up. Supportops.co. We'll see you again next week.